Welcome back, my dusk-skinned navigators of the city's blind spots, my bone-weary tacticians of midnight sidewalks, my cracked-lipped diplomats of the concrete frontier. Hobo Yeti here, back from another stroll through the funhouse mirror we call America. You remember that old video I did, Behind Enemy Lines? Yeah, well, it's not a metaphor anymore. It's basically a field manual now. Back then, it felt tense. Walking careful in daylight, slipping through shadow when you had to, answering questions with just enough fog to pass. Now it feels like that part in a movie where the main character realizes the town they're in isn't real, just a stage built to keep them inside the lines. Washington, D.C. is rolling out a new act, National Guard support, police sweeps, tents disappearing in the night, and all of it wrapped in words like public order and safety. But look closer, this isn't about solving homelessness, it's about making it disappear from view. Shelter or jail, that's the offer now. No sudden war on crime, no sting on fentanyl kings, no cleanup on corruption, just a cleanup of the visible poor. Even officials are calling it a power move, not a solution, a demonstration. But here's the question. Why start with the people nobody will defend? Why test the edge of the law on those with no cushion, no team, no camera crew? You ever notice how they never start with the folks who have lawyers or a platform or a place to fall back on? No, they start with us, the ones already sleeping on concrete, already low on options. That's where the crackdown begins, because it's easy. But is it legal? Is it constitutional to decide that an entire group of people, just by being poor or homeless or visible, are now a public threat? Is that justice? Or is that just convenience dressed up in a badge and a press release? They say it's about safety. Okay, but whose safety? Who gets safer when a guy sleeping under an overpass gets dragged out in the middle of the night? When a woman with a tent gets told she has two choices, shelter or jail, and the shelter's already full? And here's the ugly part. They're not targeting crime. They're targeting presence. They're criminalizing being here. And they do it by painting every one of us with the same brush. One person causes trouble. Suddenly we all wear the label. Theft, drugs, violence. They blame the whole camp, the whole block, the whole class. No trial, no nuance, just guilt by proximity. That's not policy. That's profiling. What happens when that kind of logic becomes standard? When laws get written based on assumptions instead of facts? When the rule becomes, if we don't like how you live, we get to decide where or if you live at all. What if the real goal isn't order, but erasure? And here's where it gets slippery. The changes aren't loud. A few sweeps here, some cameras there, and suddenly it's normal. You stop reacting. That's the quiet win. Not the crackdown, but the silence that follows. And that silence, that's when they codify it. Not a temporary measure, but policy. Not an emergency response, but just how things are. So here's where people ask, what do we do? And I get it. You want the trick, the hack, the off-ramp from the grind. But that's not how this works. The first move is simple. Notice. Notice when things shift, when language bends, when people vanish from the corners you used to see them in. The next move? Say it out loud. Don't let the silence settle. If you're living it, like really living it, you already know. It's the daily calculus. Should I sleep here or 2 blocks down? Should I say where I'm from or let the question hang? That's not paranoia, and that's pattern recognition. And as the walls close in, you start learning how to move like the camera's always rolling and the exit sign's a lie. The closest thing to safety is still other people, not in theory, in practice. I'm talking about the one who tells you the sweep's coming, the one who keeps your gear dry, the one who doesn't need a news anchor to tell them what's true. That's community. Doesn't matter if it's 2 people or 10, it's still resistance. Look, I'm not here to pretend that everyone out here is some misunderstood angel. That'd be a lie, and you know it. There's a criminal element, sure. Some people out here have given up completely. Don't care, don't want help, maybe burned every bridge they ever had. There are narcissists, manipulators, victims by choice, victims by force, all of it. I've met them, you've met them, let's not play. But there are also people doing the best they know how. People trying to get clean, trying to stay alive, trying to stay human in a system that treats them like a glitch in the program. People who still want something better, even if they've forgotten what that looks like. And those people? They're not being helped. They're being relocated. What do we want? Not luxury, not some utopia, just housing, just a damn place to stand still and breathe. And somehow that is the radical ask. Not to be homeless anymore. But instead of housing, we get handcuffs. Instead of help, we get pushed further out of view. Instead of acknowledging that some people out here are trying, the system paints all of us with the same brush. And that's what burns. That's the part that hollows you out. Being lumped in with every worst case story, treated like a threat just for existing. You tell me, when did the line between policy and punishment get so blurry? When did visibility become a crime? And here's something nobody wants to admit. Homelessness isn't some far-off consequence for other people. It's a lot closer than you think. We were all raised on this idea of class, lower, middle, upper. But let's be honest, that middle class, it's not what it used to be. Can't be monetized like it was. Can't be milked forever. And once that happened, once the middle stopped being profitable, it stopped being protected. And so now, most folks clinging to that identity, they're just one medical bill, one job loss, one rent hike away from the same concrete we're sleeping on, but the system still sells them the fantasy because fear and denial keep people quiet. It keeps them from looking too hard at the cracks in their own floor. And here's the real kicker. They think they're safe, because they still have a floor. But safety in this setup, it's just a grace period. Don't go numb. That's the finish line they're hoping for. Let your sarcasm have teeth. Let your anger keep a low flame. Let your exhaustion spit sparks instead of silence. Be tired, be over it. Just don't be quiet. I hope your road is a good one. And if you're homeless, I hope it doesn't suck for you. And remember, even in the fog, you still get to pick your direction. Peace.